We're at Holland Colours Americas today, talking about their philosophy of people, planet, and profit. We're so excited about all the things that they're doing to be environmentally sensitive. So thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Alison Zajdel, and this is Environmentally Speaking. So I'm here now with Dick. He's the plant manager for Holland Colours. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad you're here.
We appreciate it. First of all, I know a lot of people don't know what Holland Colours does. So can you talk for just a second about what you do in the community and what's your role? What is your role at Holland Colours?
We've been in the Richmond area now 28 years this year. We're a manufacturer of colorants and additives for plastic systems. Okay. Everything from vinyl siding, composite deck systems, all the way through high-end packaging. Just about anything that is colored or needs an additive in the plastic industry, we would provide.
Okay, so if it's a colored bottle, you're the ones that supplies that. Okay, and are there other companies locally that would make sense that do this, or are there companies all over the country?
All over the country and globally. Holland Colours, of course, is a global organization, and we also have competitors that are global.
Okay, okay. Now you've done a whole lot. The reason you're on Environmentally Speaking is because you've done a ton to reduce energy loads here and to make sure you're a more sustainable company, which we love. And at Cope Environmental Center, actually, last year at our gala, we honored you with an award because we were so impressed not only with what you've done, but you have such a gentle, quiet way of doing things. I think you don't shout it from the rooftops, which sometimes we'd prefer you'd shout it from the rooftops, but we appreciate that you've just done it because it's something important to you. Can you talk about the Holcomore project?
We actually started our sustainability efforts in 2009.
Okay.
A little bit of assistance from the state of Indiana with a project they had called Project Jumpstart. And they brought in an outside consultant for us. And we began to look at easy ways that we could reduce energy consumption, reduce our waste, our carbon footprint, any impact that we were having, not just on the community, but on the world in general.
Yeah.
With that, we started focusing on mainly utility usage, waste reduction, and trying to put together plans to continue to sustain both the organization, but our resources as well.
Great. And you were managing things, or you were measuring things by planet, people, and profit, right?
Those are the three areas of focus.
Okay.
First of all, people. And Holland Colours is a very people-oriented organization.
I've noticed, and we'll talk more about that during this episode.
Every employee here is not just a stakeholder, but they're also a shareholder.
Okay.
After they become an employee of Holland Colours, they also become a shareholder. Also privy to stock option plans, incentive bonuses, etc. From that, the people focus goes into the safety aspect. We just celebrated our 4th year here without a lost time incident.
That's impressive. Coming
up on 1 year without an OSHA recordable.
Wow.
So there is a strong focus on employee safety as well as the end users, the customer safety in terms of the product. Also then, when you get into the planet, we look at our resources, look at what we can conserve and how we can minimize our footprint with what we do. And of course, profit. And profit is not a bad word.
No.
Without profit, we can't support the first two, the people and the planet portion. So
right.
Holcomore is a set of global projects that focus on how to sustain each of those three areas.
Okay. And when you showed me the page, it's a matrix, and it shows what goal is affecting what area, right?
And that's a global initiative, global matrix. We operate facilities around the world. And each of those facilities would have the same matrix you saw for here, focusing though on different areas. And what we're trying to do through Holcomore, being a global project, are take the best practices of every location to make a strong global impact on what we do.
So that's smart. So if another factory has figured something out and does it really well, they can share it with all the other factories. That's really smart. That's smart. So tell us what area we're in right now.
We're actually in our lab area today, starting in the lab.
All right.
And this lab's supported by 3 different groups. We do our process quality control here. We have an applications lab group that works from this facility. They would be the ones developing the product for the immediate user. And we also have an R&D group here that works more on long-term innovation type ideas, product improvements, they work out of the same area.
Okay, we've seen Susie flying around doing some things today.
Lee in the background.
Lee in the background. So in here, let's take this for example. I know you did a lot of efforts in lighting to reduce
Yes.
energy. So what did that look like?
We started first with the main lighting in the facility. We've seen about kilowatt per man hour, about a 22% reduction in our kilowatt per pound produced.
Wow.
We then shifted to interior process lighting like what you're seeing above.
Okay.
And we started replacing the old T12 units with T8s this
With
year.
T8s,
Just
right.
this year we've replaced over 200 of these units.
Oh my gosh.
And are still continuing as we go through.
And that's a big initial upfront cost, but then I'm sure you've seen that it pays you back pretty quickly.
I would call it more of a cost avoidance. If you look at how we were consuming kilowatt per pound 5 years ago, if we were at that same rate today, it would have cost us an additional $75,000 this year alone for our electric.
Oh my gosh, that's real money.
It is real money.
That is real money.
It's part of that profit picture that you're talking about.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think we're going to look around and check out some other parts of the factory. We're going to take a look at some energy reduction and what you're doing with waste, which is really impressive. I believe this is a zero landfill or zero hazardous waste facility too.
No hazardous waste.
Which is great. So we're so impressed with all you're doing. We appreciate it. We're going to go visit with Paul now.
Very good.
All right, we're here with Paul. Paul's our safety manager at Holland Colours. Thank you for being a part of the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Paul is going to talk to us a little bit about the recycling and the waste management that you do here, because this is a really impressive facility in that you have a lot of different products coming at you, but you take the care, even though you may not collect a ton of things, you take the care to make things go to the next level and recycle them. In a minute, we're going to talk about this chip I'm holding, but actually I wanted to start elsewhere. You have a bunch of cardboard boxes over here. Can you tell us about the materials that end up going to the recycling center for you?
We basically have 14 streams that we recycle. And a lot of them are plastic pails that we receive products in. We have aluminum cans and aluminum bottles that we collect from all of our break areas. We have cardboard that we recycle. Basically, we just shipped a trailer out just a couple of weeks ago. We had 30 or 60 bales of cardboard in there. Each of those bales weigh about 500 pounds a piece.
Wow.
So we ship basically 30,000 pounds of cardboard to be recycled that used to go into the landfill.
That's a lot
So
of
that's a
product.
huge savings right there.
Yeah.
In addition to the pails, we have the chips like you're holding. We have aluminum cans. We have actually, all of our samples are done in aluminum tins. So they actually take the sample, take it to the lab to be tested. We recycle all those as well. We recycle used oil, batteries. We also recycle the products that are used in the lab to actually make test chips for customers, not just actually our product chips, but actually ones that get sent to the customer to verify that we have a good product.
Yeah. So you guys are really working hard to make sure that things aren't wasted.
Yeah, that's a big process for
And
us.
you're also a facility that with household, or with not household, but with hazardous waste, it's a zero hazardous waste facility, correct?
Correct. Basically, zero hazardous waste means that none of your waste that you generate shows any of the characteristics of a hazardous waste, such as ignitability, toxicity, reactivity, or corrosivity. So none of our products have that characteristic. Most of our products are very benign, actually, when it comes to the hazardous side of the equation. Also, there's HAPs, which are hazardous air pollutants. We have none of those because we don't use solvents.
That's awesome.
Which is a huge benefit to the environment. We don't put anything out into the air.
It is, because some of those chemicals that we're manufacturing that are a byproduct of manufacturing are pretty toxic and hard to get rid of too. And it's so it's wonderful to have a system where you're not producing any of it. That's
correct.
fabulous. So you've been seeing me wave around this chip here. I'm fascinated by this because it has something to do with the manufacturing in your facility. So tell us, this is something you also recycle, and there's a huge bin over there of them. Tell us what this is.
Well, every batch that we make, we take a sample of it and it goes into the lab and it's mixed with the customer's material.
Okay.
And then they test it to see if that color is what the customer is going to look for. When we send our product to them, they mix it in, it'll come out to that color, and that's what they're looking for. So it's a test chip for us to verify that our product will make their plastic look the right color.
So you take this test chip up next to your product, or what your end game needs to be. Oh, a colorimeter.
It's
Okay.
actually a test machine
Cool.
to test it. So it's not an eyeball. It's
So you don't
actually,
even
there's actually data.
You don't have to do old-fashioned way of doing things. You can even introduce computers to it. So
that's correct.
Okay, and then all of these, once they're done, obviously there's not my daughter could think of a million things she could do with this, but when you're done with it, you throw it in there, and you guys have a recycling steam for it. That's really cool. So tell us more about any other waste that comes off of the product. Is there anything else at the end of the game that is left over that you can't get rid of?
Actually, some of our product, which we call we use to actually clean. When we clean out the process, it's material we can't use. Well, I mean, you could throw that away, but we have actually have people that will take that.
Okay.
They still charge us to get rid of it, but they mix it with something else to help somebody else get rid of one of their waste streams. So, you know, it's not a true recycled product, but it's not going directly to a landfill.
It's not going directly to the landfill, and that's something. I think a lot of people, I certainly commend you for the fact that you guys are going that extra mile, because I know that's not always the cheapest way to go, but it's impressive that you've taken that step. Now tell us about your stormwater program.
Well, we have a non-exposure certification through the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, which basically says that we don't store any processed materials or any equipment outside that, you know, precipitation could potentially run off, you know, hitting that material could actually run off and get into the stormwater and into our waterways, eventually our rivers and lakes. So it's basically, it says that you are not going to pollute the waterways in any way, shape, or form.
Because this is your home too.
That's right.
You all are raising families here too. You don't want our waterways polluted either. So, well, we appreciate all of your efforts you're doing in waste management. It's impressive. I love that you have this little recycling corner here. This is a cool way to do things, and that way all of your employees know too that this is important to the company.
Sure,
right?
that's right.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to talk to Emily a little more about the product and the colorant and dig a little bit deeper. So thanks for being with us, Paul.
Thank you.
We're here with Emily at Holland Colours, and we're actually down to the colorant part now, which is exciting because now we're starting to see actually how this affects everybody else and how it affects our viewers at home. So tell us what you've got in front of you there.
Okay. What we start with is pigment.
Okay.
It starts out like this. It's really dusty. See how it coated the inside of that? Now for our customers to use that, they would need a lot of specialty dust handling equipment. So what a color house usually does is make it a lot neater. So
you're making it neater so that in transport it doesn't get all over everything.
In usage in their factory, it's much easier to clean up.
Okay.
So we go to a form like this, dust-free, free-flowing, much easier to clean up.
Looks like the sprinkles we put on ice cream.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And we have various formats. Now what most of our competitors do is they use the plastic that it's going into as the vehicle system.
Okay.
So that's just more fossil fuels that they're using. What we use is a non-resin base that is originating from plant and animal sources.
Oh, okay.
So we're using a renewable carbon.
So you're keeping petrochemicals out of it, or as far as the way you can?
As far as the vehicle system goes.
Okay.
Now in traditional plastics coloring, you still use a lot of petrochemical pigments. It gets you a nice bright color.
Nice bright colors.
Like that. Because people wanted things like the color to stay, they wanted it not to leach into things. So over the last 100 years, the industry's found ways to tighten down all that, you know, because they can sit in there and tweak all the chemicals.
Right, right.
So traditionally, those are the types of pigments we're using with our non-petroleum carrier.
Okay.
So that gives us a step ahead of our competitors.
Okay.
But what we've started working on is a fully non-petroleum based colorant package.
That's awesome.
So we kind of...
And it's natural, and natural means a lot of things, but what does natural mean in this situation?
In
that
this
it doesn't have petroleum?
100% petroleum free.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it took us a while to come up with a definition because everybody has a different definition.
That's right, that's right.
So what you can see is we have a yellow, which natural yellows are pretty bright.
And are those easier to get? I mean, why would a yellow be easier to get than a bright red, for instance?
Well, if you look around nature, think about it.
Good point.
Your flowers are bright yellow, your pollen's bright yellow.
Great point.
It's just very common.
It looks like the outside.
It looks like outside.
Okay.
We've got a red.
Okay. And these are all, when this gets to a, when this would get to one of your customers, would it come in the same situation?
It would come in the same format.
All right.
So
cool.
A black.
Is black hard to do, or is it easier to do?
Actually, black is one of the easiest ones to find.
Is it really? No kidding. Okay. And how many people make something like this? Is Holland Colours a leader in this?
There aren't very many, and it depends on the definition.
Definition of natural? Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
So everybody's got a varying definition.
Okay.
So we have 4 colors. That's all we're basing off of. Normally we would have maybe 8 or 10.
Okay.
So we're very limited. When we put it into a bottle, we're going to get something more like this.
Okay, so it's a little more muted. It looks more environmental,
natural.
actually.
Yes.
And I'm assuming a lot of the people that use these products, if they're paying for the natural, they want it to look natural too,
Exactly.
right?
They're
Okay.
usually more environmentally concerned.
So what is the type of customer that would use that?
Maybe your very natural cosmetics.
Oh, okay. So
something like
shampoos
that.
or conditioners that are
Shampoos,
very...
conditioners, cosmetics. You also have places like Coca-Cola and Heinz that might be interested if you've noticed they've got that plant bottle
Yeah,
now
right.
that is 30% bio-based. They're working on 100%.
Okay. So they would want to go to something
that might
like
help
this,
them
right.
further
Yeah.
what they're doing. In this case,
What
we're
are
also
these?
looking at, okay, these are petroleum-based
Okay.
bottles. These are potato starch-based.
Really?
Material.
Okay.
Now, these are with the old style colorants,
Okay.
but we could also color them with these newer style.
I see.
With the natural. And you can see here.
And it says on the back, made from reclaimed potatoes.
potatoes.
Made in the USA, which
And
is
if you
cool
see
too.
that farthest one there, that's a petroleum-based resin. So
Okay.
you see how bright
Yeah,
it is.
very bright, very crisp, very clear.
The next three are natural-based.
Okay.
So you're going to
Yeah,
start
it's very
with a
obvious, the difference.
Yeah, you're going to start with a cloudier base.
Right. But
So the
again, it
fact
looks
that
more natural.
It's more natural. You get maybe a slightly more muted color, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, it seems to be
So-
what people are going for.
So yeah, right now the industry's just waiting for economies of scale
Right.
for it to be affordable.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thanks for explaining this. This is so cool. I love when we get to the colorant part so we can tell what you do and how it relates to everyone else.
Right.
And I think we're going to take a minute to talk about kind of the history of Holland Colours and take a look at some of the products that it's actually, that you're in, that people are buying every day. So thanks for being with us, Emily.
No problem. Thank you.
Now that we know what the colorant is and what goes into the colorant and how the natural side of their colorants work, we want to talk to Joe about where it all began, because no company grows out of nowhere, right? So this is something that we were talking with Emily about, and it's nice and new and shiny and looks very modern, but Holland Colours started 35 years ago this year, right?
April 1st, it'll be a 35th anniversary
Tomorrow.
of Holland Colours, yes.
That's awesome. Okay, well, tomorrow in our time when we taped it. But so congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you.
Tell us what Holland Colours started and why did they start and where?
Sure. It was a group of people that worked for a large conglomerate making pigments in Holland. The conglomerate was out of Germany, and they had a little different way of how they wanted to manage people.
Okay.
And so the group of people that formed Holland Colours decided that they wanted to start a company, and they had two ideas in mind. One was to find a better way to color plastics. The other way is to find a more humane way to treat people, employees.
So it kind of goes back to the Holcomore theory of doing things, where it's the people, profit, and planet.
For sure.
Really holistic
Very
idea.
much so.
Okay.
And those two things still are intertwined in the fabric of the company.
Absolutely.
Today.
Okay.
For sure.
What kind of products were you coloring back then? What were you producing colorant for?
When they first started, they were producing what we would call paste, kind of a liquid dispersion for some very basic plastic items. And then they had one that was really kind of strange. Holland is very well known for its cheese.
Okay.
And they made a lot of cheese wax. So
Really?
the red
The-
that went
yeah,
around the
the
big
red.
wheels of cheese, and colorants for that, along with just some basic colorants for some what we'd call thermoset type of plastics.
Okay. So nowadays, 35 years later, what kind of plastic colorants are you making now? What products would our home viewer see your colorant in?
The most common thing that we make here is colorants for window profiles. So like your vinyl sided or your vinyl windows, the frame around the windows, vinyl siding on the side of the houses, the green and blue pipe that you see for water distribution or sewage reclamation, those colorants come from us. On the more, let's say, retail commercial side would be many types of bottles. A blue for Dasani Blue, greens for 7-Up, Sprites, those types,
Mountain Dews,
Dews,
those type of things.
of bottles. A lot of different types of cosmetics. And then we also have a line that we color for silicone elastomers and silicone rubbers. And some of those things could be the less pretty things are just a black that would make a gasket in a car.
that might be the Live Strong or the
those
different
bands?
types of charity bands. That's the type of rubber that we could sell some colorants into.
Okay, so you say less pretty, but certainly necessary.
Very necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a very good likelihood that anyone watching the show has something from Holland Colours that in their house or in their life right now.
It's very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife actually gets tired of me in a store because I walk along the bottle section and look at the bottom of bottles, trying to figure who the customer was. So we'll see
funny.
who
That's
made it,
great.
if it possibly was Holland Colours.
That's great. Well, Holland Colours has always been a great fixture in the community and a wonderful employer. And we're going to go outside actually and talk with Chuck about the habitat out there and stop in a couple points too and talk about how amazing they are to, I'm assuming, work for because they treat their employees as partners in the whole venture.
Very much we try to. And we try to make it through every part of things. It's a big part of how we've gotten into the sustainability was the better way to treat people also includes the better way to treat the planet, and has started the initiatives that we've started, all the different recycling streams that have been talked about today and things.
That's great. I hope others see the show and start to think about companies in that way and support the companies who are thinking in this manner. It's a really important thing
We
to be
hope so
doing.
too. Buy our stuff.
Buy our stuff. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Chuck, thanks for joining us. Chuck's
Thank
the
you.
purchasing manager here, and we are outside, which doesn't make a lot of sense because we're supposed to be doing a factory tour today. But the cool thing is that Holland Colours has incorporated everything into their environment for their employees, including the environment. So where are we? Tell us what we're doing here.
We are at the Holco Health Habitat. This was put into play just a few years back. It is a natural piece of land that we had that we thought we would keep natural. We would actually incorporate a track, a shelter, which was finalized, I believe, last year, which our employees can use. They can, go ahead and reserve this and use it for their families if they want. Come out here and have a gathering. It's kind of hard to tell probably on camera, but there's also a track. I think it's a 0.4 mile track that goes completely around the facility.
Okay.
Right behind us as well, you can tell we have some outdoor exercise equipment, and all of that equipment was donated by our sister companies, and that was for our 25th anniversary back in 2011. And there's, I think, 5 or 6 pieces of equipment and stations throughout the trail if you choose to come out and use it.
Yeah.
But we try to keep it natural. The only thing that we try to keep mowed down and cut would be the trail and the area around the exercise equipment. Everything else, we try to let it grow naturally.
So wellness for your employees is an important part of the company's principles, right?
Absolutely. It's continuing to grow, actually. We, let's say in the last 3 or 4 years, it's become an important topic for us. And it's not just, let's say, fitness. It's not just athletic health, but it's athletic and mental, mental wellness. We started a fitness committee, which focuses not only on the physical side of fitness, but also, again, the mental side. We do a quarterly newsletter, in which in that newsletter we'll put things out like how to keep yourself properly hydrated, how to protect yourself from the environment, from the sun, healthy recipes, things that you should be doing or that would help you, I guess, to be an overall more healthy person.
And speaking of healthy recipes, you even have lunch that you provide for your employees. You have soup every day, right?
Absolutely. Free soup and crackers every day. That's been going since we commissioned the new building in 2007. And so that I tell you what, it's really important, and it's something after having it for so long, it's easy to take it for granted.
Yeah.
But when we tell people those things, they're quite surprised by it. So it's something that we get free every day.
I was shocked.
Make a quick pit stop for food is nice.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, I think one of the most important things that you do with this outdoor space, and as it relates to environmentally speaking, is giving people easy access to nature even during their workday. A lot of people have jobs where they're inside all day, but during their break, during their lunch hour, before or after work, these guys can come out here, they can take a run around the track. You said yourself you had just run before we got here, right?
Before you came, that's right. And actually, we have some other things too. I mean, it's we have an outside basketball hoop, which people can use. We have cornhole boards you can use. We have ping pong table, it's inside or outside. We have dart boards. We have all kinds of things. It's important to make sure you get your job done first.
Right.
But you also need to have those getaways.
Right.
So it's something that we focus focus on, again, as part of overall health.
Yeah, and I think a happy employee and a healthy employee equals a long-time employee too, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so really excited that you've incorporated things like access to nature into what you're doing here. I think this area is so cool. I love that you had an open lot and you decided to dedicate it to environmental health as well as the health of your employees. And tell me, I've seen bird boxes hanging around here. What are the bird boxes
right behind
for?
you here is a bird box that our kids made these. We had a family Christmas party. We do that most years, and we had a family Christmas party. And at that party, we decorated bird boxes or bird houses. And then a few months later, we came out and had a chili kind of cook-off hot dog day, and all the kids came out and put out their bird houses all around the path. So if you look around, there's probably 60 to 80 bird houses spread out all around the path. So that's just one little thing that we do, to incorporate family, and to incorporate this environment into all of Holland Colours. So it's just an example.
That's really neat. That's really neat. And as Cope Center preaches all the time, you have to get the kids involved, and they have to know that their parents and that their community and their parents' work community is concerned about the environment and concerned about nature, and that is something that they grow up learning, then they'll continue to exercise that when they're older too. So thanks for bringing us out here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Mentally, it's a great place to be too. So I appreciate what you all are doing for nature and the health of your employees.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of our show today. I wanted to end right here with this Strong Together piece of artwork. This is made from actually an oak tree that was on this property, and it just represents really the mission of Holland Colours. I want to commend them. They're doing a beautiful job and really paying attention to, as we said before, people, planet, and profit. All three of them equally important, and really showing their employees what a good place to work looks like, and what a place that takes care of the environment looks like, and what a place that takes care of their profits looks like. So thanks for joining us again. I'm your host, Alison Zajdel. We'll see you next time.